Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Sam, and in today's video we're going to be talking about all of the series that I am currently in the middle of. A few days ago I realized that it has been almost a year since I have last talked about all of the series that I was in the middle of, and I can't remember if it was in that video that I said this or if it was just something that I had thought in my mind, was that I wanted to update this roughly every 6 months to keep it fresh in my mind and to just revisit it to make sure that I am actively working on getting through all of these series. Although I have done well in getting through some of these series, I definitely think that this list of series has grown quite a bit. So I have this list broken up into two sections, where the first section is the book series that I'm currently in the middle of and I'm not caught up with. There's still more books currently out in the series. And the second section of this list is the series that I am caught up with. As it stands, I am currently in the middle of 43 series, which I don't know how that happened. 35 of which I am still in the middle of, and 9 I have caught up to. So just going in the order of my list, I have most of these written down in order of age. So the first book series I'm in the middle of is the Temperance Brand series by Kathy Reichs. This is a 20 plus book series and is definitely a series that I'm going to get through slowly. It's been a minute since I have read a book in this series, and I do have, I think, the next 2 and then 2 more that come later in the series. And I really enjoy this series. I feel like the more recent ones that I have read, I haven't loved as much as the first 2, but I definitely want to get back to this book series. This is the book series that inspired the show Bones. I've definitely talked about it over and over again on my channel, but that's one of my favorite TV shows. I just love how blunt Temperance Brennan is in the series. I definitely want to get back to the series. I think I have 15 books left. Like I said, I don't know exactly how many books are in the series because it's also still ongoing. I'll be reading this series for a long time. The next series I have is the Hades and Persephone series by Scarlett St. Clair. I've actually read book 1 twice because the first time I didn't love it. So the second time I figured I would give it another go, try and refresh my memory and see if I did want to continue it. And I do. I found out that all of these books are on Kindle Unlimited, at least in Canada. But this is, I think, technically 2 series that you're supposed to read like one of each at a time. So you read the first book in this series and then you read the first book in like the Hades POV series. So I'm definitely curious to see how they go hand in hand, because I think they are the same story just from the perspective of the other person. So I'm curious to see if it gets repetitive or what goes on in that series. On my list, I show that I have 6 books, but I don't know how many books are out. So correct me in the comments if any of these numbers are wrong. The next book series I'm in the middle of is the Brutal Birthright series by Sophie Lark. I have 3 books left, so I'm halfway through this series. These are very quick reads for me. They're just around 300 pages, maybe even less. They're mafia, romance, have like an arranged marriage situation in book 1, and then each of the siblings from each family gets their own book after that. These are a lot of fun. They're a good like intro to mafia romance. The next series I have is the Bridgerton series by Julia Quinn. I have only read book 1 in the series, so I think I still have 7 books left. I own 3 of them, but not books 1 to 3. I think I just own some random ones. Although I enjoyed this first book, and I think I will enjoy the rest of the series. This is not necessarily a series that I want to own in its entirety. I'll probably get the ones I don't have from the library, but I definitely like this one a lot more than I expected, and I'm interested to read the rest of the series, especially with the Netflix show. Number 5 is the Dreamland Billionaire series by Lauren Asher. I have read the first 2 books in the series, so I only have the final offer left. These books were enjoyable, nothing like extraordinary or anything, and I don't think I will really think about them much after finishing the series. At least the second one I read very quickly. I didn't want to put it down, but it wasn't anything special. The next series I have is The Bloodline of Vampires by Katie Robert. I read the first book in this series last year during the Monster Readathon. I'll link it up in the cards if you're interested in watching. I have 2 books left in this series, and it feels like your typical vampire romance. It'd be really nice to just burn through this series this fall and just get it off of my current series list. It was good. I was intrigued, but again, it wasn't anything spectacular. The next series that I have is the Bloodstone series by J.R. Thorne. I think I have 4 books left in this series. This is like a succubus romance, why choose situation where our main character has to like gather these runes or something that are tied to different guys. I don't actually know how many books are in the series. Again, this was another book that I read during the Halloween readathon that I did last year. The book wasn't great from what I remember, but the way that it ended made me want to at least read the second book to see if I wanted to continue. Next, I have the Luna Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. I have 2 books left in this series. Actually, I think it's just 1 book and a novella, or a collection of novellas. And I just need to do it, but this last book intimidates me so much because I think it's 800 pages or something. Although I'm definitely not afraid of big books, I don't know what my drawback is. I've really enjoyed this series so far. It's such a interesting take. It's like a sci-fi retelling of classic fairy tales. I just need to read that last book because I think it's going to be crazy. The next series I have is the Finlay Donovan series by El Cosmano. I have read the first 2 books. I read the first book physically and then I listened to the audiobook of book 2. So I have 2 books left. This first book was not my favorite. I just found it to be a little bit ridiculous, but it was fun and I definitely enjoyed book 2 more than this first book. So I actually just put book 3 on hold at my library for the audiobook. In this series, we're following Finlay Donovan, who is a murder mystery author, and somebody overhears her at a meeting with her editor about the plot of her next book, and this person thinks that she's like a hitman for hire, and she just kind of keeps finding herself in these ridiculous situations surrounding this guy's murder. It's just ridiculous. That's the only way I can describe it. Next series, I'm not actually sure what the series is called, but book 1 is Scythe by Neil Schusterman. I have 3 books left in the series. Well, I think maybe again 2 books and a novella. I really loved the first book in the series. This is like a sci-fi book about the future and how the population and technology has evolved beyond death, and they have to create this group of people called scythes who they're responsible for maintaining the population level based on various statistics. And it was just such an interesting concept that I don't know why I didn't continue it immediately. The next series I have is the Robert Langdon series by Dan Brown. Angels and Demons is technically the first book in the series, but I read Da Vinci Code first, so oops. But I have 3 books left in this series. I really want to get back this series. I definitely enjoyed the Da Vinci Code, but the edition that my mom has is like a special illustrated edition and the book is huge. It was in a wrap-up and a reading vlog sometime last year. I'll link it in the cards if I can remember which video it's from. It's just so interesting. I love the plot of these. Robert Langdon is a world-renowned Harvard symbolist, and at least this one is summoned to a Swiss research facility to analyze cryptic symbols seared into the chest of a murdered physicist. And it ends up being this treasure hunt type vibe of trying to figure out different historical artifacts. It's just really fascinating. Next, I have the Lovelight series by B.K. Borison. I have just 1 book left and I am waiting for my hold at the library. This has been a hit or miss series for me. I read the first 2 books physically. The first book I did not like. Second book I absolutely loved. The 3rd and 4th book, my library didn't have the physical version and they're not on Kindle Unlimited, at least for me in Canada. I listened to the 3rd book on audio through Spotify, and I don't know if it was the audiobook version or if it was just the book in general, but I didn't love it that much. So I'm gonna try this last book as an ebook. Fingers crossed. All of our couples have something to do with this Christmas tree farm in a small town. And like the setting is really cute, but I just don't love a lot of our characters. The next series is The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. I think I have 4 books left in the series. I read the first one, and for being like a YA middle grade book, it took me a really long time to get into, and I didn't really follow it very well. And I feel like this is a lot of people's like childhood series, so I really want to read them. And I know that it was getting a lot of hype last year when the newest book, Murtaugh, came out, but I did just really struggle with the first book, so I'm very hesitant to pick it up again. Series 14 is The Wildflower Duet by Michaela Smelter. I have 2 books left. I read this first book really quickly, and it was definitely questionable, taboo, traumatic, but I want to know what happens next. I've heard that the second book is kind of irrelevant, and I don't even know what the third book is, but I need to know. Next series is the Greenbone series by Fonda Lee. I have 2 books left in the series. The first book was really hard for me to get through, but it was really interesting, and I'm very curious to see what happens next. I have heard that they only get better for that first book. There's a lot of information. I wasn't completely obsessed with it. Next, I have Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I have 2 books left in this series. The first book was a trip. It was very easy to fly through. So again, I just need to pick up the second book and just keep going. Next series is, I think it's Blue Ribbon Ranch, but the Done and Dusted series by Lila Sage. I didn't love the first book, unfortunately. I just wanted something more from it. And then I only have 1 book left until I'm caught up. But unfortunately, my library doesn't have book 2, so it is available on Spotify. So I think that's how I'm going to read it. I'm just reading other things on audio right now, but that is definitely very high on my list to get to. The next series is the Dark Olympus series by Katie Robert. I really enjoyed Neon Gods. I thought it was a really interesting and fun take on Greek mythology. I have book 2 in this series as well, and I think I have 4 more books to read in the series before I'm done. But I'm intrigued. I definitely want to continue. I did purchase the next book, so I'm hoping to get to it soon. I love a good Greek mythology. The next series I have is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I only have 1 book left, and I'm hoping to get to it really soon. I know that there is going to be more books in the series, but just 1 more book for now. I absolutely love this series with my whole heart. It just feels like your best friends are telling you about their lives and the things that they're going through, and it hurts so bad. But I love it so much. Next, I have The Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross. This is a duology that's like a YA, dark academia, magic sort of vibe. I really enjoyed the first book in the series or the duology, and I'm definitely curious to read the second book. I just don't know when I'm going to. Series 21 is the Crowns of Nyaxia series by Carissa Broadbent. I only have 1 more book left until I'm caught up. I know that the next book in the series is coming out, I think the end of November, so I need to hurry up and catch up so that I'm not 2 books behind. But I really love this series. I wanted to read book 2 very soon after reading the first book, but things just got in the way. Next, I have the Emily Wilde series by Heather Fawcett. I only have 1 book left. I think this is only a duology, right? I really didn't love book 1. I don't know if I'm going to continue this series, honestly, but my need to know what happens and just curiosity probably won't let this go. I need to know. So maybe in spring, this might be a good book to read. Next is the Sacred Stone series by Kate Golden. I'm actually in the middle of listening to book 2 currently, and I just checked book 3 comes out in the beginning of October, so I'm hoping to actually get to that really soon after. I might finish book 2 and then listen to the next book in the Done and Dusted series, and then jump into the new book in the Sacred Stones series and be caught up. I didn't love book 1, and I Can't really put my finger on why. It just didn't really work for me. The romance didn't make a lot of sense, but I'm definitely enjoying book 2 a lot more. And I'll talk more about that once I do my monthly wrap up. Next is the Blood of Fae series by Briar Bolin. I have 2 books left. Book 1 was good, book 2 was not good. I'm buddy reading this with Emily. She'll be linked down below as always. I think we are going to try and get to book 3 here soon. I'm still holding out hope for this series. It's like a King Arthur retelling. I don't know. I just wanted it to be better. 10 more to go that I am currently in the middle of. I have The Reckoners by Brandon Sanderson. I have 2 books left. This is like a YA sci-fi dystopian sort of vibe with superheroes, but the superheroes are the villains sort of situation. This was a really fun, easy read, and I just wanted to continue reading them. 26 is The Blackwood Institute by J. Rose. I have 2 books left in the series. This is a trilogy that I'm, again, buddy reading with Emily. This is a very, very, very dark Why Choose romance where our group of main characters are in a like rehabilitation mental institution for young adults with criminal records as well as mental illness, and are trying to help them be able to get back into society. And like, it's very dark, it's very twisty, but I need to know what's happening, and I got very connected to these characters. The next series is the Gold Rush Ranch series by Elsie Silver. Currently actually reading a book in the series. Again, it's a buddy read with Emily. We have 3 books left in this series, and I'm loving it so much. I love Elsie Silver's writing. I love her characters, the banter, the backstory. They're phenomenal. 28 is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I have 2 books left in like the main trilogy, I guess. I definitely didn't give book 1 enough time to fully absorb and understand everything that was going on, so that was on me, but I'm definitely very curious to continue this series. It was a very interesting take, interesting plot. 29 is The Crimson Moth by Kristen Cicerelli. I have 1 book left in the series, although, correct me if I'm wrong, is this next book even actually out yet? It's coming out soon? I don't know. But I really loved the first book in the series, Witch and Witch Hunter. Fantasy, romance vibes, a lot of fun. And I'm pretty sure this is only supposed to be a duology as well, so I'm really loving all of these duologies that are coming out. It's very easy to be able to just fly through them. Number 30 is The Kindred's Curse Saga by Penn Cole. Another buddy read with Emily. We have 3 books left. I really enjoyed the first book. I think this is going to be a great fantasy, like very bingeable. Obviously different plot to ACOTAR, but very similar vibe in that you're just getting connected to these characters, and her world is really interesting and something I don't think I've read before. Just like the way that her map is laid out and everything, I just really enjoyed it. Next series is Godkiller by Hannah Kaner. I enjoyed this first book. I'm very intrigued to see what happens in book 2. I don't know how long the series is supposed to be, but I know that the second book came out semi-recently, maybe? In the series, we're following Kissin, who has sort of a tragic backstory and becomes a god killer in this world where gods have been outlawed sort of situation. It was really interesting, and definitely there's a lot more to this book than I thought there was going to be. Just a couple more series that I am currently in the middle of. The next one is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. I recently finished this and absolutely loved this. It's a gothic fantasy mystery sort of vibe. I had so much fun with this. I loved our main characters. I cannot wait to continue. And just these covers are so beautiful. Next, I have the Maple Hills series by Hannah Grace. I have Daydream left. I absolutely love this series. I think it's so much fun. Very spicy, but like great communication. Just so cute, and I cannot wait to get to Henry's story. And lastly, the very last series that I am currently in the middle of is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I have 1 book left that I'm waiting for my hold at the library. This is not my absolute favorite series, but it's fun, and I'm interested to see what is happening in, I guess is this technically the Brothers Hawthorne series, the Hawthorne Brothers series. It's like the spin-off of the Inheritance games and takes place in the events after, and we're following the brothers. Except at least in the first book, we don't get POVs from all of the brothers. I'm hoping we get more of them in the subsequent books. So these last 9 series that I'm currently in the middle of but caught up on, I'm just going to rapid fire them because I currently don't have any books left. We have the A Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas. She, I think, is currently writing the next book in the series, so I'm very excited. We also have the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. I think there's supposed to be one more book in this series. We have the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros. Book 3 is coming out in January. I'm very, very excited to get back into this world. Next is the None Shall Sleep series by Ellie Marney. This is like a YA criminal minds, but make it teenagers sort of situation. Didn't totally love these books either, but I think there is supposed to only be one more book that's coming out at some point. Next is The Devourer of Men by Nikki St. Croix. This is a spinoff of the Vicious Lost Boys series, following some of our side characters, and I absolutely loved book 1. I'm very intrigued to see what takes place. So the next one isn't really a series, but I wanted to keep this written down so I remember to read the other series in this universe, but that's the Mounts Bay universe by Jay Braid. This is the universe that Hannaford Prep takes place in, and there's 2 other series that branch off from this series, and I absolutely love this world, so I'm very interested to see what happens to these other characters. Next is Jacksonville Raised by Emily Rath. This is a very spicy hockey romance series. So much fun. I love this series so much, and I cannot wait until the next book comes out. 42 is the Never After series by Emily McIntyre. I know that the last book in this series comes out pretty soon, I think. This is a buddy read with Emily, and I'm really hoping, Emily, that you and I can read this last book very soon after it comes out, and we can just both cross the series off of our list. And last but not least, we have the Powerless series by Lauren Roberts. Good old YA fantasy romance. I'm very intrigued to see what happens with this last book. I definitely need to get this list of series that I'm in the middle of down because I do not want to talk about this many series ever again. And I don't want all of these series to be on this list when I do another update. So hold me to this. Let's try to do an update on this video sooner than the last one was. Let me know down below how many series you are in the middle of, and if you have read any of the series that I am in the middle of as well. I would love to chat with you. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a like so that I know, and I hope that you have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.